You can tokenize anything, but at the end of the day, what can you do with those tokenized assets?
The industry is moving from experimentation to implementation.
Within crypto, we're usually thinking very micro. When you zoom out, the broader financial market is over $500 trillion.
What are we going to see on the market a year from now that brings us even closer to that execution phase?
If you are an institution, you don't want all of your activities to be publicly permanent for everyone to see.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Tech or Leave It. We're here in Abu Dhabi at Hack Seasons, and I have the immense pleasure of being in Melvis's company from Canton Foundation. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So my name is Melvis, as you've mentioned, but I lead the Canton Foundation. And within Canton, we are the first public permissionless blockchain that was purposely built for institutional finance. Within that, we uniquely combine privacy, controls, and interoperability to allow for the largest institutions to have the solutions to come into blockchain and launch applications across crypto, TradFi, and the mix between the two.
Fantastic. Obviously, being in this space, massive name, really excited to have this conversation together. I wanted to kind of kick off with talking about you, a bit of your background, and why you are where you are today. You have a crazy background. So Goldman Sachs, JP, OKX. I want to understand from your background and what brought you here. Why do you feel that Canton Foundation right now is the right place for you, and what are you excited about right now?
Yeah, within my background, it all started with I went to a liberal arts school, and within the liberal arts curriculum, you just have a global interoperable mindset and taking different courses and just having a perspective as to what's happening around the world. And so in doing so, I studied economics, and then having the interest in economics led to joining banks, because within the capital markets, everything you do takes a scope of what's happening in the global market. So from micro activities within one country all the way to the macro side of things globally. And luckily, during my career, I actually got to join a macro trading desk, and that was at Goldman Sachs. So learning how to trade and execute not just equities or FX, but then also fixed income products and a little bit of future products as well. And in doing so, being a macro seat, you're always thinking globally what's happening across other markets and how can it affect your books and risks that you're managing. So in 2015, 2016, I was doing research around like Greek government bonds, and then read that people were moving assets from their banks into a thing called Bitcoin. And so as I delved in to take a look into that, I was like, okay, this sounds quite interesting. And having studied economics and seeing that this is a new asset class or a new technology, it's censorship resistant, that drove me into a rabbit hole. So at night, I'd be trying to get some rest, but then it might will be spinning. So we're learning more about what is going on in the markets, and the Asia markets were the biggest markets back then. So doing a little bit of trading here and there, and then learning. And then on top of that too, I came about learning about Ripple as well. And with Ripple, it's a currency that allows for payment solution. My family and my background originates from Ghana as well, so West Africa. So money transfers, Western Union, MoneyGram is interesting. But now with this technology, it allows for more instant payments. And then on top of that too, much better flows of capital. So with this, as I was learning and growing within traditional markets, so from macro trading, I moved to electronic FX and credit at JP Morgan. But the itch for wanting to get into crypto kept coming up on and on again. So I took scope of where my career was and what the opportunities were, and noticed that gravitating from traditional markets and then looking to go to crypto, potentially being an exchange would be a good career next step, in the sense that the exchanges are at the center, at the heart of what's happening in crypto. They facilitate early stage funding, they facilitate trading, settlement, clearing, and on top of that too, whenever things happen across crypto, the exchanges are involved within it. So had the opportunity to join OKX, where I helped manage the market maker program in addition to strategic partnerships. And then after almost 4 years there, having had the TradFi experience plus the crypto experience, what was next? Now it's bridging both of them together. And most recently this year, the whole conversation around the conversion between crypto and TradFi is happening. So got an opportunity to join Canton Network to lead a foundation.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And so just before we jump into the next one, as head of Canton Foundation, what does that day-to-day look like? Like, what are you actually doing? What are you working on? Tell us a bit more about that.
So as I mentioned, Canton is a public permissionless chain that facilitates the build out of applications with privacy, controls, and interoperability. Underneath that, the foundation is a membership foundation that helps to foster the neutrality, decentralization, open development, and governance of the core operators within Canton itself. So what does that entail? It entails being the touch point to help facilitate activities across the super validators, and applications that are launching on the network. And within Canton, because we are an open source blockchain and have the solutions to build whatever application you want, you're able to come in and build apps across like payment solutions with privacy, collateral mobility, and then more importantly, on top of all this, real world assets can be launched on the network. And so the foundation itself is the hub to help people coming into a network or existing network to navigate it to reach their goals and opportunities that they see that we can offer.
I love that. I love that. And then the last point that you touched upon was kind of like the real world asset RWAs. Being in the space, we've seen it evolve, right? There was like a real big trend about like it was all like real estate RWAs, and that lasted about 6 months, about like a year ago, and it kind of disappeared. And a lot of them were like scammy like projects or whatever. And then it feels like in the last, I'd say, better part of like a year, this feels, at least in our position, like a wave of this is the real RWAs. Like this is actually what RWAs were supposed to be back then, and then we're seeing it today. What's your thought on that? Like, what are your thoughts on RWAs and where it's at right now versus maybe a year ago, and what do you think a year from now looks like?
But yeah, so I would say, yeah, definitely there's always growing pains in new assets or new asset classes that launch. And the core things that I think have helped to move things forward have included, number one, now there's more institutional grade infrastructure within the market. Number two, within that too, these infrastructure, they've been able to integrate some of their institutional workflows to facilitate different activities to happen. And then lastly, within that, there's now better and more regulatory clarity around what's happening within the market. And so all these things put together have facilitated the ability for more institutions to enter the ecosystem, and then also to bring assets onto crypto. But then one other big core thing that I'll mention, and one of the main reasons why Canton is as big as we are, in the sense that we facilitate over $6 trillion of transactions on our network per month. And the core rationale is that at the end of the day, we have taken a strong core focus on enabling one of the main tenets that institutions need, which is privacy, configurable privacy, in the sense that many institutions are heavily regulated. They have client confidentiality to uphold. And then on top of that, if you are an institution, you don't want all of your activities to be publicly permanent for everyone to see. And so with Canton, the blockchain allows you to build in your own level of privacy. And then underneath that, you can also add the level of controls that you want for your application or your assets. It says that you can enable access controls on the blockchain itself, finality, stability, and then compliance of your application. And these are some of the immediate things that you would want as an institution. But then on top of everything I just mentioned, the beauty is that you can also compose transactions with your own application, with other applications within Canton. So you have the core important aspect of blockchain, which is composability. On top of that, you also have privacy with it.
Amazing. And so I guess my next one is that for the non-infra geeks out there that are listening and watching us right now, can you put it in a analogy? Like, can you put what you guys do in an analogy that's easy to digest and kind of understand, like, just how impactful Canton is?
Yeah. So in terms of the impact of Canton, um, it's similar to the internet in the sense that the internet is pretty much the largest network in the world. Within the internet, you're able to go to a public website like a Wikipedia or a sports, either your favorite sports team's website. But then within the same internet protocol, you can go to your bank account. And then even if you log into your bank account, you're able to see only your own bank balances. And there's still access controls and risk control. So you don't see or use assets or products that you're not enabled to. So in the same vein, with Canton, instead of building within the same binary fashion of what the blockchain ecosystem had been, where you're either choosing between a public permissionless chain or a private permission chain, and each one has trade-offs, you're now able to use a blockchain that allows you to build your flavor and mix of public application aspects and private application aspects, but then allow them to talk to each other naturally.
Awesome. In terms of if you were able to give me like one or two real world use cases of like how traditional markets and crypto native infrastructure are synchronizing right now in the market.
Yeah. So so before I answer that, I would like to give a good overview breakdown of our ecosystem. So at Canton, as I mentioned earlier, we have about $6 trillion dollars worth of activity per month. Out of that, we work with the largest banks like Goldman Sachs, HSBC, BNP Paribas. We work with tech providers like Tradeweb and also Broadridge, and then FMIs as well, like NASDAQ and DTCC. And beyond that, there are also esoteric partners who are built, esoteric verticals that partners have built, like life insurance, sports betting, and then also physical natural gas and oil settlement solutions. So with all these put together, the use cases are very broad, but we're able to also capture some core specific case because you can't do everything at once. So real world asset tokenization is one, payments with privacy, and then also collateral mobility. Because one of the biggest things that you can tokenize anything, but at the end of the day, what can you do with those tokenized assets? So by enabling collateral mobility workflows, you're able to now use those tokenized assets to trade or to borrow, lend, or use it for risk and margining across different activities that you're working in.
Fantastic. And then I guess my last question is that working in this space, we constantly like hear the industry is moving from experimentation to implementation, right? And execution. To you, what are we going to see that we've seen it improve leaps and bounds in the last year? Insane, like, and it's reflected on your monthly transactions, and it's reflected in kind of everything that's going on in the industry right now. What do you think we see on the market a year from now that brings us even closer to that execution phase?
Yeah. So right now, within crypto and crypto native people, we're usually thinking very micro. It's like what's happening today, what's the hottest new chain launching, what's the hottest new token launching. And our market is only 3.5 to $4 trillion. When you zoom out, the broader global financial market is over $500 trillion. And so the next waves to capture that entails having the infrastructure, having the institutional workflows in place, and then the regulatory clarity. But having the infrastructure side, the fundamental layer is very, very critical. And so that's where Canton is currently focused on. And within that, we've worked and had some great successes with some of our partners. For example, to answer your question, being able to launch and issue digitally native assets is very critical, and that'll take us to the next level. In the sense that today, yes, within the real world asset tokenization side, we got bonds, we have we have equities and the likes, but these are not digitally native. These are digital twins or digital wrappers, in the sense that if you're looking to compose a pure transaction where you hold the full rights and obligations of the assets, those twins do not work. Those wrappers do not work. And so enabling the ability to formally digitally issue a native asset is very critical. And at Canton, we're fortunate to have had the opportunity to work with DTCC within the US, which is the largest CSD in the world. It has over $100 trillion worth of assets. In the summer, we worked on a live transaction with them and some partners in the sense that DTCC digitally natively issued a US Treasury. From there, we worked with Circle with USDC as the cash leg. And then we worked with TradeWeb, which is an electronic trading platform for the execution infrastructure, and collaborated with the likes of Bank of America, Citadel, Virtu, Virtu, and then also SocGen to transact. And building all this together, each one had their own individual sovereign applications, governance, access controls. But the beauty is that, from everything I mentioned earlier, is that within Canton, they can have their own privacy controls, and then they can interoperate with one another. So we're able to facilitate the ability for you to have the full rights and obligations of the asset, and then trade digitally natively and settle on the Canton ledger.
You just don't have to go anywhere else.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So you can have your own island. I have my own island, but we can still talk to each other when we want to.
There you go. Amazing. Amazing. Those were my questions. Is there anything that we didn't touch upon? Is there anything that you want?
I would like to highlight that beyond the institutional and TradFi aspects of what we're doing, as I mentioned earlier, Canton is facilitating the conversion between TradFi and crypto. We also have a strong core set of builders within the ecosystem. It says that we have entrepreneurs building across some DeFi primitives around swaps, DEXs, and also lending and borrowing. On top of that, too, some cool aspects that Canton can facilitate are like dark pool DEXs, right? Being able to trade and not have your position or your margin activities public for everyone. And then prediction markets have also been another core segment that people are excited about launching in Canton, because now you can make your positions around predictions and not have everyone see everything that you're doing as well.
Like the next poly market, is that what I'm hearing?
We have some interesting applications that are about to launch. And then in order to also facilitate the overall growth and development of the ecosystem, we're also, as a foundation, we're putting a lot of resources into the builders and resources and applications and reference application, in addition to the tools for them to come and build on Canton. We'll be launching a Canton development fund early next year to help get people coming to the network and building and launching applications that they would like.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Melvis, that was awesome of you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Can I add?
Please. Dude, I'll literally talk to you all day.
So one key thing that's very unique about Canton is the token economy, in the sense that we had no pre-allocations, pre-mines, and no pre-sales. And with that, last year, when we launched mainnet, the network started with 0 tokens, and then everyone that provided utility within Canton was able to mine Canton coin. So with that, infrastructure providers and also applications that launch on Canton, they're able to provide a utility and grow and appreciate the network by being rewarded for what they've done and brought to the network. This is in high contrast to existing networks where I'm a builder, I launched an app, the app is producing over 30% of the network activity and transaction fees, but I get nothing from it. It's only the validators that do. So with Canton, we structure it so that incentives are aligned. And so builders that come in and they're able to launch something, they can have their own application transaction fees, but they're also able to grow and get rewarded by mining Canton coin for the activity that they bring to the network. And within the structured tokenomics, 1/3 of mineable tokens are for the infrastructure providers, and then 2/3 are for the users and app builders on Canton. It's very, very different and unique, and we're working this way so that we make sure that everyone is aligned. And the key thing is that if you think about building a network, let's use Apple, for example. if Apple launched a new iPhone and he said the current apps that you have on it do not work on it, I don't think many people will transition over. So by being able to have aligned incentives with the builders with the network is very important to us.
Awesome. Last thing, you're obviously involved with so much stuff right now. You have to name one. You have to pick a favorite. What's like the most exciting thing that you're working on? Like what excites you the most?
Yeah, the thing that excites me the most is working and grinding with the builders.
Yeah?
Yeah. In a sense that, as I mentioned earlier, just like building a network, you need to have strong core applications, and from the applications, you'll be able to grow a user network and a user base. And by having the incentive alignments and also the vision of a network that brings TradFi and crypto, it's a perfect match.
That's awesome. So favorite thing is being in the trenches.
Yes.
I love it.
The fundamental level of the network.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
pleasure.
Yeah.